Hey, how's it going, everyone? Nurse Brent here. Hope you're doing well. Good to see you guys again. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome to this video. So for today's video, we're going to talk about this new bill, this new act, this new law that California Governor Gavin Newsom passed on Wednesday. It's the CARE Act. And this act is going to affect mental health and how healthcare workers, how the state of California, how they handle their mental health, patients, and what it's going to look like, because this is a paradigm shift that is occurring. So, because this is a nursing channel, I'm not going to talk about the politics behind it. Save that for someone else to talk about, to see if it's right, if it's fair, is it good, is it bad, the pros and cons of it. We're looking at it from a healthcare workers, providers, stance. So let's jump into this video. On Wednesday, September 14, California Governor Mr. Gavin Newsom signed Senate Bill number 1338 into law. This law is known as the Community Assistance Recovery and Impairment Care Act, aka the CARE Act, not to be confused with the 2020 CARES Act that was in effect due to the pandemic. That was the Coronavirus Aid, Relief, and Economic Security Act. The CARE Act, the one that Governor Newsom signed into law, is being hailed as a paradigm shift that will provide estimated 7,000 to 12,000 people with severe mental illness and substance use disorders the care and services that they need. This will also hopefully divert them away from incarceration and homelessness. Our recurrent system here in California, it's a three-pronged cycle. It's between the streets, the jails, and the hospitals. Rinse and repeat over and over and over and over again. If you work in the emergency room or if you work in the behavioral health unit like I do, you see this happen all the time, where many of our patients will either come from the jail system or are homeless and coming in off of the street because their mental health illness has exacerbated. Ideally, this CARE Act is a way to lessen the stress on our jail system due to overcrowding, and improve our homelessness situation, because as we all know, California is a hotbed with a very large homeless population, especially with Skid Row in Los Angeles County. Now, according to Cal Matters, about 1/3 of inmates and 1/3 of homeless people in the state of California have a mental illness. So that's a lot of people. Now, to qualify for the CARE program, and we're going to talk about the pathway and what that looks like and how to qualify for it and all of that. But essentially, to qualify for this process, 3 criteria must be met. The first one is that the person must be 18 years old or older. Number 2, they have to be currently experiencing a severe mental illness with a diagnosis on the schizophrenic scale. So they could be schizophrenic or schizoaffective. However, for those who have a substance abuse disorder, they must have a mental illness diagnosis attached to it. This is not a drug rehab program. There are other programs that deal with those specifically. And thirdly, the person is not clinically stabilized in ongoing voluntary treatment. So they have to be coming into this program, for lack of a better term, fresh. Now, there are 2 other criteria, but only one of them needs to be present. It could either be that the person is unlikely to live safely and independently on their own. So think of our gravely disabled patients, or they're likely to harm themselves and or others, fulfilling the criteria for a danger to self or a danger to others. Now, the bill is quite long. There's a lot of things to go through. The PDF that I downloaded, it's 37 pages long, full of medical jargon, lawyer jargon. I'm not going to go through the entire thing. I'm just going to cover the part that pertains to us as nurses and or healthcare providers. I'll have the link to the bill in the description below, so feel free to take a look at it when you have the time. But for now, let's jump straight into the treatment process. Now, what you see before you is the graphic of the pathway through the care court. This is how the patient or the person is going to be able to get, the services once they are accepted into this program. So the first step is the referral process. Now, the referral process, it allows a family member, behavioral health provider, this could be a psychiatrist, a nurse, social worker, someone like that, a first responder, so EMT, police officer, or other approved party. Most likely we're talking about a public guardian or a conservator. The ability to petition the court to create a voluntary care agreement or a court-ordered, this is non-voluntary now, care plan to provide behavioral health care, which includes stabilization and treatment, medication, housing, and other services that they may need. So basically, the person goes to court to see if they qualify for this program. When they're in court, they're going to have to undergo a clinical evaluation, obviously, and the clinical evaluation consists of a clinical diagnosis, whether the person has the legal capacity to give informed consent. So we're looking at autonomy in regards to psychotropic medications, as well as other information provided by the psychological evaluator, and an analysis of the services, the programs, the housing, the medications, and the interventions that are going to be used for the treatment. The court can also appoint legal counsel and a care supporter. The care supporter is a volunteer, and this person assists the participant or the patient while maintaining their right to autonomy. So think of an accountability partner, think of an advocate, and then you roll it into one, and that's who a care supporter technically is. The court reviews the clinical evaluation, and if the individual meets the criteria, the court orders the development of the care plan, and the person is now accepted into the program. So this care plan, it's developed by the county behavioral health, by the participant, and of course the care supporter. The care plan includes treatment, medications, housing plan, all the things that we talked about earlier. This care plan is continually being reviewed and looked upon to make sure that it's meeting the objectives that it needs to meet. Treatment and services can go up to 12 months, so a year, but if additional services or help is needed, then it can be extended another year. So this program can go 1 year minimum, 2 years max. Now the support for this is, of course, treatment's going to begin, and the care plan is regularly reviewed and updated. And there's also a psychiatric advance directive just in case something happens, in case there's some type of crisis. Now, the court provides accountability with status hearings to make sure that the person is participating in the program, taking their medications, going to therapy, that they're doing well, and also to make sure that the county and the other entities and other organizations that are part of it are complying with the court orders. Now, with all of those things being said, following the care plan, getting the support that they need, going through it a year or two, depending on how long it is, success is when the person is able to complete the program. It'll take 1 year, 2 years, depending on how long it is. And when they're done with it, that participant, the patient, that person is eligible for ongoing treatment, supportive services, and housing to support long-term recovery. The thing is with a lot of mental health is a lot of it is chronic. So of course they're going to need that longer support and longer help. And the fact that, they are eligible for their care to be continued does help. Because if they relapse, if they stop taking their medications, if their condition exacerbates, we're back at square one all over again. So in a nutshell, this is the simplified process of what happens. Now, there's one other thing that I didn't cover in the beginning of the video because I wanted to get through all the important stuff first. Talk about what this is, talk about the care plan, about the CARES Act. But with that out of the way, I'm going to address it here. This bill will take effect once the California State Department of Healthcare Services provides funding to the counties. According to Governor Newsom, we have enough money set aside. So the California counties of Glen, Orange, Riverside, San Diego, Stanislaus, Tulum, as well as the city and county of San Francisco will be implementing this program first, and they need to have it up and running before October 1st of 2023. They're going to be staggering this. The remaining counties in California, because there's 58 total, they will have their program up and running before December 1st of 2024. So we're looking at about a 2-year timeline for every county in California to have this program set up established and implemented to serve the mental health population. The biggest problem is going to be finding and retaining healthcare workers. In an earlier video, I talked about how the United States as a whole, we're going to be losing about 200 to 450,000 nurses within the next 2 to 3 years. So if you want a little bit more on that and how that shortage is going to affect us, go ahead and watch that video once you're done with this one. But we're going to need, in my case, nurses to work with these patients, right? To administer medications, to educate the patient about what they're doing, to possibly perform, treatment and therapy sessions, make sure that the patients are doing what they're supposed to be doing, following up with their care, continuing their care, right? Doing things like that. So if you're looking for a job, they're hiring, right? We're going to be needing you guys in about 2 years, give or take. Now, I know mental health is not the sexy department. No one ever wants to jump into it right away coming out of nursing school. I ask my students this all the time. And I will be lucky if I'll get one student who says, I want to work in mental health, or they're going to say, I'm thinking about it. Either way, I'll take it as a win. But we do need people to work in this field. It is one of the fastest, if not the fastest growing field in nursing or medicine as a whole. If anything, the 2020 pandemic proved to us is that mental health is extremely important. We saw rises in anxiety, suicide, and depression rates. With that being said, however, hopefully this video helped you understand a little bit more about this CARE Act, what it is, how it's going to be implemented, and hopefully, this will be able to alleviate some of the problems that we have in our jail system and with our homeless population by treating those who have mental illnesses. And I think this is ideally a good step in the right direction. There have been some pushback on it, but that's going to be someone else talking about it. That's another video entirely. We're going to stick with the nursing, with the science stuff here, because the type of channel that we are. So, of course, if there are no comments, questions, concerns, or complaints that can be expressed in a therapeutically communicative manner, I'll see you all next time. Take care. Stay cool out there. Have a good one. Peace.